This episode contains violence. I shall be in mortal peril. Use your discretion, for I know you love me and might faint to consider a knife pointed to my gem-like gullet. From 1603 and Tudor Time Machine, this is episode 4 of Out Brief Candle, an investigation into a murder at William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. I'm Jessica.
I'm Gage, and we are Tudor Time Machine. Don't miss any of Philadelphia's adventures. Subscribe to our Tudor Time Machine channel on YouTube, or listen on your favorite podcast streaming site. We're on all of them.
Our mystery so far. Philadelphia, with her maid Jane in tow, was rendezvousing with her secret lover, actor Richard Burbage, when player Robert Pavey was stabbed to death. Philadelphia and Jane tried to escape, but were trapped because the Globe was quarantined by plague authorities.
Philadelphia and Jane decided to check out the situation and found Pavey in the hut with some of the players hovering around his bloody body.
This is a critical time for the London theatre because the new king, James, is going to choose just one of the London theatre companies to patron, meaning big bucks and big prestige.
But the company at the Globe is not sure which show to produce to win over the king.
The choices are Sejanus by Ben Jonson, in which Richard Burbage would play the lead, a great Roman commander who has 90% of the lines and never leaves the stage. The other play, Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, is an ensemble. Robert Pavey was set to play Olivia.
Pavey's murder would definitely tip the scales towards Sejanus, which is what Burbage wants. Philadelphia Carey, our favorite Tudor time traveler, tell us what you've learned.
Burbage is no villain, but his wife Winifred, she is the goddess of discord. She will kill for her unborn babe.
How would Pavey's death help her baby?
Burbage would reap fame and fortune, shining as the Roman commander Sejanus. Like a parasite, Winifred would suck up his glory as her own and pass it on to her mewling infant.
Mewling infant? Philadelphia. You want the killer to be Winifred Burbage because you don't like her.
Well, there are other suspects, even William Shakespeare himself. Shakespeare wants Twelfth Night to be played to impress the king, but he did not want Pavey to play the role of Olivia, the best woman's part.
Shakespeare considered Pavey too old and too manly at the ripe old age of 16 to be convincing as the Princess Olivia.
I confess, Shakespeare might have killed the lad to save his play.
It's not Shakespeare.
Okay, so we have a number of suspects, and the authorities can't enter the theater because of the quarantine. Right now, the murder is only known by those on the inside of the Globe. Indeed. Jane and I have disguised ourselves that we may investigate the murder. I am dressed in a dark doublet, jacket and breeches, a plumed hat and boots. I do believe it is the costume worn for Constable Dull in Love's Labour's Lost. Jane sports Constable Dogberry's attire from Much Ado. She did mump so that it was too big and tattered and malodorous. I reminded the chit that even disguised, it was right that I, a lady of the court, be better attired than she, a lowly servant.
You would remind her of that.
Quite correct. While rummaging for our costumes, Jane found some parchment, ink, and quill, and the lass thought to make a drawing of Pavey's body, complete with bloody wounds and weapon.
Jane's taking initiative. That is fantastic.
Dear Ningle, I do not want Jane to take this word, initiative, but she did, and I shall tell you, as she drew, she did note something quite unexpected.
What was that?
Jane said, "Lady." Of course, I corrected her immediately, and she said, "Sir, I see a wound not caused by that weapon that does protrude from his neck." And so I did give ear to this girl, and saw Pavey's head was split near to where his poor pate rested on the ground.
Maybe a fight led to that. In that case, it's not a premeditated murder.
I shall tell you more. Jane saw Pavey's hand was branded with a T, and she gave a start. "Mistress, I mean, Master Constable, look." I saw it with my own eyes. there on the base of his thumb.
Really?
Wow, that's wild. Pavy had the Tyburn tea?
What did that mean exactly?
In 16th century London, Tyburn was the site of the gallows and the notorious Tyburn tree where public executions took place. Murderers were branded at the base of the thumb with an M and non-murder criminals with the Tyburn T.
So Pavy was a convicted criminal. Interesting. Jane is observant. She noted a head wound and she noted a criminal brand. She's a natural sleuth.
Perhaps, or perhaps being lowly, she regards wounds and brands, such as I know naught of, being a lady. Huzzah! I shall tell you how I took command of the moment. As I stood above the body, Shakespeare and Hemmings and the apprentice John Rice did reappear. I did not start or cry out as Jane had done, though I trembled to be recognized. I rose instantly to task. Without pause I assumed my part, spinning my tale with authority.
Sirs, I am Master Constable Blatt. The plague doctor did hear screams coming from this theatre. In great distress he summoned me and my fellow, this lesser man of law, my servant Scroll.
I indicated Jane.
At the urging of the plague doctor, we have risked all to enter here and see the matter. Now we find this body. Oh, woe, oh, woe. A horrid murder has occurred. Speak, reveal the guilty. I command it in the name of the king.
Was not my acting superb?
Brava! Were Hemmings, Shakespeare, and Rice fooled by your acting and disguise?
Truly they were. Oh, I thank the great gods of drama that I have been blessed with the ability to act. Had I been recognized as Lady Philadelphia Carey, the questions I would encounter, alack! Surely my dalliance with Burbage would be uncovered. I shiver to think upon the shame that would be heaped upon me. I threw the dice and have won. I have convinced them. I am Master Constable Blatt. I am safe.
So far.
You took a big chance, Philadelphia.
What did they do?
The bad luck of a constable being nigh was written on their faces. Oh, I was the cause of their pall. Delightful! How Hemmings, Shakespeare, and Rice did cry me mercy, insisting they knew not how the murder had occurred.
And do you believe them?
Of course not. I suspect everyone. I am Master Constable Blatt. I must solve the mystery of this crime. The truth will out.
It was Shakespeare who coined that phrase.
But a way with words does not prove innocence, my foolish friend. That is why I must solve the murder of Out, Brief, Candle.
Shakespeare also coined that phrase, my fussy-wussy pal.
Avaunt. I continued my interrogation. Why had they come? I demanded. Hemmings said they must clean and tend the body and prepare it for burial. Well, that makes sense. You can't leave a body lying around indefinitely. I commanded them.
Halt!
I said my servant Scroll, my Jane, must finish his drawing, for I did need all the details of the murdered man's corpse to solve the crime. After Scroll, Jane, had finished, they might perhaps tend to the murdered man. I spoke thus to show my station. Being in authority means never giving a simple aye. In the face of my command, Hemmings begged me that the murder be kept from the public. The scandal would take the company out of the contest for the king's patronage, he said.
Do you think that that's true?
I think so. King James would avoid scandal.
Well, they do need to get poor Pavy's body out of the hut.
Indeed, yes, for the noisome corpse was beginning to make me quite ill. But I persevered past my nose and kept alert to suspicion. I saw how Hemmings did gaze at poor Pavy's neck, and then he did glance at Shakespeare, who did look away. I am keen. I do have the eye of a hawk as Master Constable Blatt. I would not let such a look pass between these devils. I cried to Scroll, Jane.
Sirrah, draw the blade from the throat of this Pavy. I would examine it in the name of the king.
Jane pulled the thing from Pavy's neck?
She hesitated, but I commanded her as Master Constable Blatt. Jane knelt by the bloody body, and with her head turned away she did pull the weapon from the corpse's throat. The blood spurted, and my Jane did let out a shriek, which would have given away her womanliness had I not made a scene of coughing to cover. Aha! The weapon had a long and thin ivory handle. The blade was covered in blood. It looked to be a penknife of some sort. I thought dying by such a small jagged blade would be a drawn-out, painful business, not the clean, quick slice of the sword, such as ended the life of my ancestor, Queen Anne Boleyn.
You are such a name dropper.
There was a hurly-burly as Jane held up the blade. I snatched it from her, examined it. Carved in the steel point were the initials W.S.
Oh my!
I gasped. The weapon was Shakespeare's? I turned upon Shakespeare, but before I could speak, Hemmings cried out,
"Oh, thou loathsome, whoresome death-dealer! Your villainy has ruined us all!"
The little apprentice chimed in. "Oh, indeed, that is Master William's knife. I have seen him at his desk, cutting his quills with it. He is the murderer! He is the murderer!"
Ridiculous. I cannot believe it.
It's his weapon. That's bad for Shakespeare.
That proves nothing.
Philadelphia, did Shakespeare defend himself? He did.
He maintained his innocence. What was his alibi?
As Master Constable Blatt, I must take all into account. Shakespeare looked to Hemmings and said,
"I am no murderer, Hemmings. You are serpent-tongued. You cast blame on me, but I think you did it, to give this John Rice more parts, and then you take his money. You make him your performing pup. You stole my knife to cast the blame on me. Miscreant, villain!"
Hemmings set upon Shakespeare and struck him in the eye. Shakespeare did careen backward and fall to the ground. Hemmings stomped toward him, accusing,
"You killed Pabby for the sake of your own vanity, for your selfish ends. You will ruin the chances of this entire company."
Did you cry, "Halt in the name of the king"?
I was frozen. Never have I seen a man strike another man with such force, and it did capture my innocent eyes. But then, I will tell you, Jane did run and made use of her constable's scroll body to shield Shakespeare. And indeed, if Jane's face is damaged, 'tis no loss to the beauty of the world, though she is Aphrodite when compared to Winifred Burbage.
Philadelphia.
I say true. Avaunt. Hemmings did hesitate, and John Rice did find his voice, and tugged at his master's arm, saying, "Good Master Hemmings, sir, you must not addle Master Shakespeare's brain, for how can he write great roles if he be addled?"
Did Hemmings relent?
Honestly, I think Hemmings' behavior seems pretty guilty. I mean, to freak out that way, maybe he did frame Shakespeare.
Was Shakespeare okay?
Jane, scroll, did help Shakespeare rise. She clasped his hand and pulled him up. The man did seem dazed, but I would not clear his name simply because Hemmings did lose his temper. I spoke to Shakespeare. I responded,
"Nonsense! A man has been killed, and with your knife, clear your name or confess, sirrah!"
You called William Shakespeare, the Bard of Avon, sirrah?
As Master Constable Blatt, it was my right, and the man frustrated me with his dithering.
"They claim this knife to be yours. Is it so?"
And he said, in good faith, he would tell true, it was indeed his knife.
It was his knife.
But he didn't confess? Indeed, no. He proclaimed he had been engaged with another person every moment since the end of the day's performance, and he could not have committed the murder.
So he had an alibi and you confirmed it.
Do not rush me, woman. I demanded the name. Shakespeare hemmed and hawed and hesitated.
"I would not put this person in peril. Take my word, I beg."
Then Hemmings burst out at Shakespeare.
"Liar! You have no alibi. You have for all that killed Pabby."
He turned to me.
"Master Constable, this man had motive. He despised this Pabby. He feared we could not win the favour of the king with Robert Pabby taking the role of Olivia in Twelfth Night. Shakespeare called Pabby to his face a poor actor who no longer had a sweet bass nor a sweetling soprano, but a beard and a warble. Pabby did defend himself and demanded the role as his own. They had come to blows many times. I do not wonder Shakespeare's knife ended in the younger's neck." Shakespeare admitted to desiring Pabby out of the company, but he would never have spilt his blood, he said. He again insisted he had an alibi, whom he hesitated to name.
Why wouldn't he say who it was?
Indeed. Hemmings thought as you do, and said to him,
Who warmed your bed? Why will you tell us not?
and Shakespeare's eyes did dart about. I thought he tried to choose a name, but 'twas another cause.
What was it?
Hemmings looked on Shakespeare and turned the colour of a beet.
Stone-hearted 3-inch fool, I will smash that pate!
He roared, raising a tankard to crash upon Shakespeare's head. But Scrawl, Jane, vaulted over to Shakespeare and stopped his arm, saying,
Is there a woman between you?
Jane figured that out. She has a great sense of things.
I demanded of Shakespeare the lady's name. I threatened arrest.
Wow, did you really do that?
I did, though I would have had no jail to take him to. But the stratagem worked, and Hemmings did wince, and then burst out,
He has been with Titania. This fool of a writer has spent too many hours with her.
Aha! Of course, I thought. I had seen this chit sing and dance at the Globe.
Wait. Titania is a singer? Is that who Shakespeare named the fairy queen character in Midsummer Night's Dream for?
I know not, but I have heard this singer Titania, and seen her dance in a leather bodice. 'Twas as if she were not dressed at all. She looked an Amazon with one bare breast.
I didn't even realize there were singers, especially female ones, on the stage in 16th century London.
A troupe of singers would come out before the main performance. Some were women who sang and danced. Singers are low-born women, and not worthy to act and speak verse, as do the male players. I was not at all surprised to imagine that the buckskin-clad warbler Titania would bed both Hemmings and Shakespeare indiscriminately.
Judgy.
Yeah, oof.
Let's get back to the action, Philadelphia. What happened next?
Hemmings did groan as a man stabbed. He aimed a blow at Shakespeare, but the playwright did duck, for he would not be smote. It is truth, Shakespeare grabbed a bucket and smashed it on Hemmings' head. Hemmings tripped and fell. I shouted,
Cease your doggish manners! Stop! In the name of the king! Hemmings! Hold him down, Scrawl!
With my Constable Platt authority, I demanded I must speak to Titania forthwith. I commanded Hemmings, Shakespeare, and Rice to stay. Hemmings did sulk upon the floor. I did charge Scrawl, my Jane, to stand sentry over the three. Avaunt! I must search out this Minkins, Titania.
Philadelphia, you really are an inspector.
I am a Solomon, full of wisdom, excellent judgment, and tracking ability.
I can't wait to hear what Titania has to say when you find her.
The search for the singer begins.
Friends, Tudophiles, true crime amantes, adieu. Listen in next time to Outbrief Candle and subscribe on YouTube. Make Tudor Time Machine a huge presence on the web.
And when Philadelphia finds Titania, I am sure she'll learn Shakespeare is absolutely innocent. Outbrief Candle is a production of 1603 and Tudor Time Machine. And many thanks to barber surgeon Master Mark. And you'll look fantastic in our Outbrief Candle swag. The link is on the YouTube channel. You'll be Tudorific in the t-shirts. And thank you for joining us.